Have you ever looked at a barren landscape and wondered if a fortune was hidden beneath it? Most people search for gold in rivers, but the biggest clues may be right under their feet. This dry and empty terrain might look worthless, yet it tells a remarkable story. For millions of years, nature has been quietly moving and concentrating gold in places few people notice. The secret isn't always the rock itself, it's the pattern of the land around it. Ancient rivers, fractured bedrock, and hidden geological traps can all point to gold. Many prospectors walk straight over these clues without realizing what they're seeing. Today, we're uncovering the landscape patterns that often guide experienced gold hunters. What appears to be an ordinary desert could actually be a map leading to buried treasure. Stay with KD Geology as we reveal why smart prospectors study the land before they ever pick up a shovel. Most people imagine gold is found in rivers, or deep underground mines, or remote mountains far away from civilization, places where geology is obvious, places where everything looks rich or active. But what if that assumption is completely wrong? What if the richest gold zones on Earth are actually hiding in places that look completely empty? Flat ground, dead soil, dry, lifeless terrain with nothing special on the surface. No shine, no rocks that stand out, no visible clues at all. And yet, some of the biggest gold systems ever discovered were first ignored because they looked like nothing at all. No warning, no surface signal, no reason to investigate. So the real question becomes, how do you find gold in a place that looks like it has none? Because here's what most people never realize. Gold doesn't need visible signs to exist. It only needs geology. And geology can hide itself perfectly. A landscape can look dead on the surface, while underneath it, ancient river systems, fractured bedrock, and mineral traps are still active, still holding gold, still shaping deposits, still controlling where heavy minerals concentrate. And today, you're going to see how entire gold systems stay invisible on the surface, but extremely active underground. And one of these systems is so deceptive, even experienced prospectors walk right over it without noticing anything at all. 1. Gold is a traveler, not a fixed target. Gold does not behave like normal rock. It does not stay where it forms. It moves, slowly but constantly. Over millions of years, Earth reshapes itself through continuous forces. Rock breaks apart. Erosion removes layers of ground. Rivers carry sediment downstream. Floods rearrange entire landscapes. Mountains rise and collapse. Valleys shift and disappear. And through all of this, gold reacts differently than everything else. Because gold is heavy, it behaves in a very specific way. It drops early in moving water. It sinks quickly through sediment. It resists transport compared to lighter minerals. And instead of spreading evenly, it concentrates into traps, natural traps, geological traps, structural traps. That means something very important. Gold does not scatter randomly across Earth. It gathers into specific environments where physics and geology allow it to settle. And over time, those environments can remain even after the original landscape disappears completely, which leads to a critical insight most beginners never consider. You are not searching for gold itself. You are searching for the ancient systems that move gold. And here's where it becomes even more interesting. Some of those systems no longer exist at the surface at all. The rivers are gone, the mountains have been worn down, the terrain has completely changed, but the gold, it didn't disappear. It stayed behind, locked in place like a geological memory trapped inside Earth. 2. The invisible ancient river trap. One of the most mysterious gold locations on Earth is something you cannot easily see. Ancient buried rivers, also called paleochannels. These are old river systems that once carried gold-rich sediment across landscapes for thousands or even millions of years. But eventually, they disappeared. Not suddenly, but slowly. Buried under layers of soil, covered by sediment, erased by erosion, or shifted by tectonic movement. And today, as they look like normal ground, flat land, dry soil, ordinary terrain with no visible features. But underground, they can contain extremely concentrated gold deposits because ancient rivers naturally sorted material. Fast-moving water washed away light sediment. Heavier minerals sank to the bottom. Gold collected in gravel beds, bends, and low-energy zones. Then the river disappeared, but the gold stayed locked in place, undisturbed for millions of years. And here's the real problem. You cannot identify these systems visually. There are no shining rocks, no surface gold, no obvious geological structure. Even experienced prospectors can miss them because the surface gives absolutely no warning. And that makes them one of the most dangerous illusions in gold hunting. Because the most dangerous gold systems are not the ones that are hidden underground. They are the ones that look completely normal on the surface. 3. Dead landscapes that are not dead. Some of the most misleading gold zones on Earth look completely inactive. Flat plains, dry valleys, bare soil regions, low-energy terrain with no visible activity. At first glance, they look geologically useless, empty, sterile, unproductive. But in reality, many of these landscapes are ancient erosion surfaces, old ground that has remained stable for millions of years. And during that time, something very important happened. Weak materials were removed. Light minerals were washed away. Wind and water gradually stripped everything unstable, but heavy minerals remained, including gold. So what looks empty is actually a residual concentration zone, a natural geological filter that slowly removed everything except dense material. This is why some goldfields have almost no visible source rock, yet still contain gold in soil and sediment layers. Because the gold was never added later. It was always there, just concentrated over time. And this leads to a powerful realization. Sometimes gold is not coming from somewhere else. It is already in the ground, hidden inside ancient layers that look completely ordinary. 4. Bedrock fracture systems. One of the most important hidden gold traps is bedrock fractures. When Earth moves under stress, rock does not remain solid. It cracks, it fractures, it creates fault zones and stress corridors, and these structures become underground pathways. Hot, mineral-rich fluids move through them, carrying dissolved minerals, including gold. Over long periods, these fluids cool down, minerals crystallize, and gold begins to deposit inside fractures. Once gold enters these cracks, it gets trapped, it gets sealed, it becomes extremely stable, and it does not move easily again. Even erosion above cannot remove it. It stays locked inside bedrock systems for millions of years. This creates invisible gold networks underground, not visible from the surface, but extremely important geologically. And sometimes, these fracture systems connect across large regions, forming entire gold corridors beneath flat terrain, which means something critical. A gold system can exist with no surface expression at all, no rocks, no signals, no obvious clues, just structure beneath your feet. And this is the shocking part. The surface above a major gold system can look identical to completely barren ground, even though beneath it, a full mineral system is actively preserved in rock. 5. Black sand. The gold signature. Black sand is one of the strongest natural indicators of gold movement. It contains heavy minerals such as magnetite, ilmenite, garnet, and sometimes microscopic gold particles. It forms through natural water sorting. When sediment moves, light particles are carried away easily. Heavy particles resist movement, so they remain behind and accumulate in specific zones. But here's what makes black sand so powerful. It can appear even where no active river exists today, because it often represents ancient riverbeds, flood zones, buried channels, old erosion pathways. That means black sand is not just material, it is a geological signal, a fingerprint of past movement, a record of where energy once concentrated heavy minerals. And where heavy minerals concentrate, gold often follows, even if it is not visible, even if it is microscopic, even if it is trapped inside sediment layers. 6. Deserts, the most misleading gold environment. Deserts appear empty, silent, geologically inactive. But in reality, They are some of the best geological record keepers on Earth because nothing hides the ground. There is no thick vegetation, very slow erosion, long-term exposure of ancient surfaces. That means geological systems remain visible for long periods. One key feature is desert washes, dry channels that only activate during flash floods. When they do, everything changes instantly. Water moves at high energy. Sediment is violently sorted. Heavy minerals settle rapidly. Then the water disappears, leaving behind concentrated deposits. Deserts also contain gravel plains, volcanic fragments, iron-stained rock zones, scattered heavy mineral patches, all subtle clues of deeper geological systems. But most people miss them completely because they assume deserts are empty and lifeless. But deserts are not empty. They are exposed geology. And exposed geology reveals hidden systems better than almost anywhere else. 7. The hidden gold engine. Now everything connects. Ancient rivers, fractures, black sand systems, desert washes, erosion surfaces. They are not separate phenomena. They are part of one continuous Earth process, a system that constantly moves gold through geological cycles. We can call it the hidden gold engine. The landscape may point you in the right direction, but the rocks themselves reveal the final clues. One of the most overlooked indicators in gold-bearing regions is schist, a metamorphic rock often associated with valuable mineral systems. When ancient geological forces fractured and transformed these rocks, they created pathways where gold-rich fluids could flow and concentrate. That is why experienced prospectors don't just study the terrain, they carefully examine the bedrock hidden beneath it. And among those rocks, schist has helped lead to some of the world's most significant gold discoveries. Beneath your feet lies a story written in stone, a story of pressure, heat, and unimaginable time, a story of rocks that quietly hold fortunes, yet go unnoticed by nearly everyone who walks past them. Among these overlooked guardians is schist, a rock that rarely takes the spotlight, but has silently held onto gold for millions of years. To the untrained eye, schist may look dull, flaky, or even worthless. But to the prospector who listens carefully to the whispers of the earth, schist is a silent keeper of wealth, a geological vault concealing golden secrets. And once you learn how to read its language, you may never look at a hillside the same way again. To understand schist, you must imagine the Earth's crust as a restless painter, constantly reshaping its canvas. Rocks are not static. They are transformed by forces of heat and pressure, folded, squeezed, and altered until they become something new. Schist is born from this transformation. It begins as mudstone, shale, or volcanic ash, soft, ordinary materials. But deep underground, under immense heat and pressure, these sediments recrystallize into shiny, platy minerals like mica, garnet, and staurolite. This metamorphic transformation doesn't just make schist beautiful in its own subtle way, it makes it the perfect host for gold. Gold, unlike most metals, does not bond easily with other elements. It prefers to remain free, carried in hot hydrothermal fluids that snake upward through cracks in the earth. As those fluids cool, gold often gets trapped, but it doesn't scatter randomly. It seeks structural weaknesses, folds, fractures, and shear zones. And schist, with its layered and fractured nature, provides exactly the kind of environment where gold can quietly lodge itself, hidden away for millennia. This is why so many of the world's great gold belts are tied to schist. In the Canadian Shield, prospectors' journals are filled with notes of schist zones glittering with veins of quartz and free-milling gold. In Ghana's Ashanti Belt, schist formations cradle deposits that have produced untold riches for centuries. And in Alaska, California, and Western Australia, schist ridges often mark the places where fortunes were pulled straight from the earth. To ignore schist is to ignore one of geology's most consistent signals for hidden gold. But here lies the mystery. Schist rarely shouts. Unlike ironstone, which paints the hills red, or quartz, which gleams white against darker rock, schist whispers in subtler tones. It may shimmer faintly with mica or fracture in layers that catch the sunlight. Sometimes it looks ordinary, blending seamlessly into the landscape. Its wealth is not in its surface beauty, but in the secrets it holds within. Prospectors who chase only the obvious often miss schist entirely, walking over golden vaults disguised as dull rock. Imagine standing in a valley where the mountainsides gleam faintly silver gray. You pick up a rock that flakes apart in your hand. It doesn't sparkle like quartz or shine like pyrite. But if you knew the truth, your heart would race. For within those layers may lie veins of quartz infused with free gold. For prospectors, the challenge is learning to read the signs. Schist often appears in belts, long stretches of metamorphic rock that trace ancient mountain-building events. Within these belts, gold-bearing quartz veins frequently cut through the schist, sometimes barely noticeable on the surface. A faint line of quartz, tinged with iron staining, could signal a vein that runs deep underground. Even when no quartz is visible, the schist itself may contain microscopic gold particles, recoverable through careful crushing and extraction. To dismiss schist as unimportant is to dismiss the very foundation of many gold discoveries. History confirms this again and again. In California's Sierra Nevada, miners followed rivers downstream, collecting nuggets in pans. But when they traced those nuggets back to their source, they found schist hillsides riddled with quartz veins. In Alaska's Klondike, schist ridges provided the bedrock that trapped placer gold, guiding prospectors upstream to the lodes hidden in the metamorphic mountains. In Australia's Yilgarn Craton, greenstone schist belts hold deposits that have built entire towns and fortunes. Over and over, schist proves itself as a silent but faithful keeper of gold. Yet schist does not give up its treasures easily. Crushing schist to liberate its gold requires effort. Unlike soft soils that surrender placer nuggets with a simple swirl of a pan, schist must be broken, ground, and studied. Prospectors of old learned this through trial and error. They lugged heavy samples to stamp mills, pounding the rock to dust in search of tiny flecks of yellow. Many were disappointed, but those who understood schist's true potential became legends, discovering lodes that others walked past without a second thought. This quiet, almost secretive nature of schist is what makes it so fascinating. It doesn't lure treasure hunters with flashy signals. Instead, it tests patience, demanding knowledge, skill, and persistence. In this way, schist mirrors gold itself. For gold, too, does not reveal itself easily. It hides in the folds of rock, in the cracks of mountains, in the silent vaults of schist, waiting for the few who know how to listen. The financial world has also begun to understand the power of schist. Geological surveys map schist belts, not because the rock itself has intrinsic value, but because of what it points toward. Mining companies spend millions drilling through schist ridges, betting on the silent promise of hidden deposits. Investors watch closely, knowing that when a company reports intersecting schist with quartz veins, the odds of a major discovery increase dramatically. Behind every share price spike, behind every gold rush town, there is often schist quietly keeping its golden secret. To ignore schist is to miss the pattern that links geology with fortune. Consider the irony. Countless prospectors have chased pyrite, mistaking fool's gold for the real thing. Yet beneath their boots, schist waited, carrying the very wealth they dreamed of. It is not the loud rocks that keep the biggest secrets, it is the silent ones. Picture a prospector climbing a ridge at dusk. The sun catches on thin sheets of mica, and the hillside shimmers faintly. To most, it looks like nothing more than glittering dust, but the prospector pauses, bends down, and picks up a piece of schist. He runs his fingers across the flaky layers, then smiles, for he knows that this is not just rock. This is a silent keeper of gold, a vault sealed by time, waiting for the right hands to unlock it. And so the lesson is clear. Schist is not a rock to ignore. It is a messenger from deep time, a silent custodian of fortune. Beneath its dull gray layers lies the story of heat, pressure, and hidden wealth. It will not shout its secrets. It will not dazzle the eye like a gem. But for those who know how to read the earth, schist is one of the most reliable guides to gold. the world has ever known. The earth is filled with distractions, rocks that glitter falsely, soils that seem rich but yield nothing. Schist stands apart, quietly carrying the real wealth, waiting for the patient, the observant, and the wise. Perhaps that is why it has earned the title of silent goldkeeper. It does not boast, it does not deceive, it simply holds. And when the day comes that you recognize its value, you may realize that you have been standing on a fortune all along. So the next time you find yourself in the hills, pay attention not just to the obvious quartz veins or the flashy ironstone ridges, but to the quiet, flaky gray rocks beneath your feet. They may not speak loudly, but they hold stories of wealth that could change your life. Schist is the Earth's silent promise, a vault of golden secrets waiting for discovery. And it is up to you to decide whether to walk past it or to finally listen to what it has been keeping for millions of years. To many, it's nothing more than a nuisance, dirty, sticky, and unavoidable near rivers or creeks. But to the prospector who knows what to look for, mud is not just dirt. It is a cryptic message left by the forces of water and gravity. Within its dull, wet surface could be the shimmering trace of hidden treasure. This is the muddy trick, a method so overlooked yet so powerful that it can place you inches away from gold without tools, without chemicals, and without breaking nature's rhythm. When gold moves through a river, it follows a simple law. It is heavy. Too heavy to float far, too dense to scatter randomly. Gold lingers where the current slows, where it can finally rest. And what do those resting places look like? They look muddy. Those thick deposits of fine sediment are nature's filing cabinet, neatly storing minerals of every type. Somewhere inside them, gold lies hidden, waiting for the one who understands the language of mud. The first step in reading mud is to recognize its texture. Not all mud is created equal. Fine, sticky clay carries light minerals, but the mud you want is mixed with black sand. As you scoop it, it feels heavier, denser, resistant to flowing away. That heaviness is the clue. Black sand is iron-rich, and where iron has settled, gold has often stopped as well. This pairing is so consistent that seasoned prospectors almost treat black sand as the shadow of gold. When you swirl muddy water in your pan and notice a dark layer clinging to the bottom, you are not just looking at sediment, you are standing at the threshold of discovery. Yet mud alone cannot confirm gold. To advance, you must follow its trail. Imagine standing at a riverbed where the water swings in a curve. On the outside edge, the current rushes fast, scouring the riverbed. On the inside edge, however, the current slows, allowing heavy materials to drop. That's where mud piles up, thick and brown. If you dig there, you are not guessing. You are acting on nature's blueprint. The gold that once tumbled with force has likely come to rest right beneath your feet. But the muddy trick demands patience. Every scoop must be treated like a story waiting to be read. Wash the mud slowly, carefully, watching what remains after the lighter silt drifts away. This is when suspense builds, because every handful of mud has the chance to reveal a gleam. Sometimes it's only black sand. Sometimes it's a stubborn speck that flashes in the light, refusing to move even when you shake the pan. And when that happens, you've struck the language of gold itself. What makes this trick so fascinating is that it transforms mud from an obstacle into an ally. Mud in cracks between rocks, mud trapped under tree roots, mud sitting motionless beneath boulders, all of these hold potential. Picture lifting a stone from the riverbed and finding thick mud packed beneath it. That mud has not been disturbed in years, maybe decades. Gold is heavy, and when floods washed it downstream, that very stone may have stopped it. The mud beneath becomes a vault, quietly holding flecks of treasure out of sight. To ignore it is to walk past gold itself. There is also the hidden chemistry of mud. Look closely and you'll notice colors. Pale yellow clay hints at iron oxide, a common partner of placer gold. Deep red mud suggests heavy mineral staining, the byproduct of metallic companions like magnetite and hematite. These colors are not random. They are coded warnings, guiding you toward the very layers where gold has chosen to rest. Even without equipment, your eyes can become instruments sharper than any machine if you learn to see mud not as dirt, but as a map. Still, the trick is not just about where mud gathers, it is about where it resists being moved. Mud stuck between boulders or pressed hard beneath roots is gold's perfect hiding place. Imagine digging into that compacted earth, thick and stubborn, and slowly washing it free. The light silt disappears, the dark sand settles, and suddenly, against all odds, a glimmer refuses to wash away. That glimmer is why the muddy trick has become one of nature's simplest yet most powerful secrets. The truth is, gold never travels alone. It moves with companions: iron, magnetite, black sand, and mud is the carrier of them all. To see mud not as filth, but as a coded message, is to see the river with new eyes. And once you do, the hunt changes forever. You stop wandering blindly. You stop wasting energy. Instead, you let the mud guide you, step by step, toward the places where gold has always hidden. And so, as the river winds, as the mud thickens, as the black sand gathers, you stand at the edge of revelation. This is no ordinary dirt. It is nature's most overlooked treasure map. You just need to learn how to read it. One of the most powerful signs comes from compacted blue-gray clay buried beneath fresher layers of mud. Prospectors call it false bedrock. It may look dull, but it is a natural stopping point for heavy metals. When gold tumbles downstream, it cannot sink any lower than this barrier. If you reach this clay while working through muddy layers, stop and test it. That thin film of mud resting right on top could be holding the prize. And if you scrape deeper cracks into the clay, you may discover gold that has been trapped for centuries. But here's the suspense. Not every muddy deposit reveals its secrets easily. Some locations demand persistence, as if the river is testing your resolve. You dig, you swirl, you see nothing but black sand. Hours pass and hope begins to fade. Then suddenly, in the swirl of the pan, a speck refuses to move. It is heavy, stubborn, bright, a flash of yellow defying the dark sand around it. The silence of the river deepens. Your eyes lock onto that shimmer. It is small but undeniable. That is gold, and it proves that the muddy trick has led you to the right ground. Gold in mud can also reveal itself through concentration zones. Look beneath waterfalls where turbulence traps fine sediments, or in narrow crevices of bedrock where mud collects, stubborn and untouched by current. These places are not random. They are gold's final resting beds. If you scoop that sticky mud, wash it carefully, and reveal flecks of yellow, you have found what generations of prospectors have dreamed of. The true mastery of this trick is not in luck. It is in reading nature's signs. Mud at the base of iron-stained quartz veins, whispers of nearby lodes. Mud that settles in sudden drops or depressions signals a catchment where heavies stop. Mud mixed with garnet or hematite points toward the exact zones where gravity has separated treasures from waste. Each muddy clue sharpens your pursuit, narrowing the distance between you and gold. There's also an art in comparing deposits. Take samples from 3 muddy spots along a river bend. Pan them. If one holds more black sand, that's the zone worth chasing. If one holds a stubborn speck of gold, you are closer than you think. By letting mud itself become your measuring stick, you turn chaos into certainty. The river no longer feels endless. You have a compass, and that compass is the mud beneath your feet. Now imagine this. You followed the muddy trail upstream, tested pocket after pocket, until finally the deposits grow richer. The black sand thickens, the mud feels heavier, the colors shift toward deep reds and yellows. Your pan begins to reveal not just a speck, but several, clinging to the bottom, shining even in dim light. The suspense becomes electric. You are no longer chasing random signs. You are at the doorway of something bigger. This is how great discoveries are made. Not through luck, not through endless digging, but through understanding the subtle hints nature hides in the most ordinary places. Mud, dismissed by so many, becomes the secret ally of the prospector who listens. And here lies the ultimate truth. The muddy trick does not require wealth, machines, or chemicals. It requires patience, eyes trained to see, and the courage to trust what others overlook. That handful of sticky earth, dripping with river water, could change everything. It might conceal nothing, or it might conceal gold that has waited for centuries to be uncovered. That is why the muddy trick is more than a method. It is a mystery, a gamble, and a promise. Every muddy scoop is a question to nature, and every golden speck is her whispered answer. And those who learn to hear it, those who learn to read mud like a book, will forever walk rivers and creeks with a secret smile. They know what others do not. They know that treasure hides in the dirtiest of places, waiting in silence, waiting for the one who dares to believe that even mud can shine. So next time you stand before a river, a creek, or even a forgotten desert bed, look down at the mud beneath your feet, touch it, test it, swirl it, because hidden in that dull, sticky earth may lie the very sparkle that has driven explorers, adventurers, and dreamers across centuries. Gold, timeless, patient, and secretive, still waits. And mud is its keeper. And that is the hidden truth of the muddy trick. Simple, overlooked, yet powerful enough to guide you straight to gold.